Hey everyone, Nico here with today's ThoughtLoad, and today is a crypto update. I know these might get repetitive over time, but I feel like every now and then it's good to go over what's happened in the past couple of weeks, especially when I personally have seen a lot of interesting things happen in those recent weeks. Now, one of the first things that I want to touch on is the moves in the regulatory space when it comes to crypto. Now, if you've listened to my monologue and any of these crypto updates, you'll hear something that I'm about to repeat, and that's regulation needs to happen because businesses are sitting on the sidelines because the SEC and other governing bodies haven't made up their fucking mind. So, funny enough, there was a bill introduced recently, and part of that bill was to help speed things along when it comes to governing crypto. But there was a provision in that bill where they're trying to fire the head of the SEC, which, funny enough, is the guy that I've been saying is absolutely idiotic and needs to go. Funny how that works out. Now, why is this important? Again, it is important because businesses need a clear answer. If you're a multi-billion-dollar company and you want to start using Bitcoin, okay, is that going to be taxed at 10% or is it going to be taxed at 2%? And what other fees and costs are associated with using the currency? Businesses could probably figure out answers to a couple of those questions, but not all of them, because there's no clear regulatory standards in place. That's the problem. Now, again, the funny part is, whenever that does happen, I feel like over the next 2 years or year and a half after that regulatory stamp is made, businesses are going to flow into Bitcoin. And what does that mean? That means the price goes up. So hopefully you've been listening to some of the crypto updates I've been throwing out there, listening to other voices in the space, and hopefully realizing that even though prices may be air quotes down right now, it's usually a good time to invest. I mean, think about this. 5 years ago, the prices of crypto were well below half of what they are now, and people were ecstatic. I remember 13 or 15,000 people were freaking out. This is awesome. This is going to change the world. And then now people are like upset that it's at 30. Oh, I love that. Now, the other thing that's happened recently is something that involves BlackRock. Now, I'm not a huge fan of humongo financial companies like BlackRock and Vanguard, only because I feel like they have their hands in a lot of different industries. But from a business perspective, like if they're on your side, that's usually a good thing. Now, here's the funny part. The CEO of BlackRock in 2017 said that Bitcoin is an index of money laundering. Fast forward to a month ago, and BlackRock files a Bitcoin ETF. Not only that, but whenever their first ETF was rejected by the SEC, they appealed it and they sent in another one, if I'm not mistaken. So not only did their stance on it change, or at least what they were telling you, but they're really freaking committed to getting this done. And I'm sorry, if I was a governing body like the SEC and one of the largest, if not the largest financial company in the world started hounding me about an ETF, I'd probably be pressured to get that done, don't you think? And because that's the case, I feel like something is happening in crypto land. Now, I don't know what that looks like, but I am extremely optimistic at the potential price of crypto 6 months from now, a year from now. Heck, it could be 2-3 months from now. I have no clue. But I'm going to repeat something to you that I said in my monologue that will hopefully drive home why prices are nowhere near where they could be. And whenever big businesses get involved, this is going to go through the roof. So here's what I'm going to reiterate. And that's the price, the projected price of one Bitcoin, just one, if all of the M1 money supply was to go into Bitcoin. Now, granted, that's a shit ton of money, okay? That's all the cash, stocks, kind of liquid assets that are around the world. But I want you to also think about that number and think, okay, how much do big businesses have? Probably about the same, if not more, right? If we were to pile up all the money that big businesses have around the world, like probably about that, okay? If not more. So if all of that money was moved into Bitcoin, one Bitcoin would be worth $10 million. It's at 30,000 right now. So I have no idea what the price will end up being for Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies in the space. But I'd be willing to bet, or I'd almost guarantee that if more businesses start accepting Bitcoin, that if regulation does occur in the space, that it's only a matter of time before we start seeing those types of numbers for Bitcoin and other cryptos. And at that point, I really hope, if you're listening to this, that you're invested. Because if you are, that means that you secured your financial future. And for those of you that aren't, I'm sorry, I tried. I'm always here to answer questions and talk about this stuff. I think it's fascinating. And I do think it's the future. Heck, I can't remember who said this. This is just coming off the top of my head. I'm sorry, I'm not prepared with this. But I saw a quote earlier that said, Bitcoin is going to be the currency of AI. And what's been in the news the past 10 months, ever since ChatGPT was launched? AI. Think about the exponential growth with that. Think about where things could be. And I'm not expecting anything soon. But think a year out. Think 3 years out, 5 years, 10 years, and just start to realize that we are just beginning, and we've only just begun these past 5 to 10 years. What are the next 10 going to look like? If Bitcoin was $100 in 2011 and 2012, and now we are up to 30 grand a decade later, what does the next decade look like? I'll let you think about that. Guys, thanks for joining me today on another ThoughtLoad. Stay tuned next week for Tyler's episode. And as always, begin the duel, win the day.